why we have our, we maintain our independence, and then we are able to do what other NGOs are not able to do. But having said that, what is really required from the NGO side, I would really say the government side, is to see if we can get a common voice on certain key issues. Let's talk about the maritime sector. You're looking at ports, or looking at policy. If we can have one common voice and one common set of what we think needs to be done, that would be a starting point from our side, which could give to the government saying that, look, we the NGOs in India say that we think that A, B, C, D, E, and G needs to be done, and these are the processes which needs to be followed. I think that is clearly lacking. It's something which we've been working in the past year, or less than a year, to actually come up with this consensus. In fact, 1 year back we had this such a conference. Typically somebody from the Oceans campaign would have come, but now we have a new division called the policy division, or the political and business division, which I am heading, and that's the reason why I am part of this. The whole idea is to go from the campaigns mode to some sort of a policy campaign, a lobby where you can, and it's not just the government but also the businesses and the other NGOs. Having said that, there are, for instance, while fully appreciating what Mr. Natarajan said, but comments like development comes first and species next is actually a red rag to environmentalists. I mean, we understand what he's saying. We understand that development is very important. But what we are only trying to say is that, can we not look at some sort of a very long-term vision? It's not species versus development. If the species goes, what goes along with it? Is that the right way of doing it? Now for instance, now everybody talks of dwindling fish stocks. Okay, a whole lot of reasons. It's due to overfishing. It's due to coral reefs, destruction of coral reefs. It's due to destruction of coral reefs because of, again, increase in temperatures because of global warming. It's due to a whole host of reasons. Now we need to have some sort of a comprehensive kind of a package where we say that if for instance we're looking at a SEZ in a particular coastal area, for example, I am looking at setting up a 1000 megawatt coal-fired power plant. Okay, not only adding to the cumulative CO2 emission. Okay, there is also going to be local pollution in that particular area, the local emission of carbon. Can we look at some ways? We are not saying let's not have SEZ there. Can we look at some sort of a, assuming that we go out with the SEZ, can we look at something comprehensive where people are not affected, or if they are, they're properly rehabilitated? There's some sort of a good energy, shall I say, or maybe look at alternate sources of energy rather than just thermal power plant alone. Look at some sort of where there's a balance. I mean, the key here is the balance. It's not development versus species. Now, in the Dhamra, when we were opposing the Dhamra port, we very clearly said that we are not opposed to the port coming up. We are opposed to the port coming up at that particular location. Now, it was, well, the turtles were the main reason. There were a whole host of other factors which we listed out when we met the Tatas. So it was not turtles versus the port. It was turtles versus the port in that specific location. It was not, do we need the port at all? We didn't say that. Said you can have the port, but if you could look at a port at a different location. Similarly at Alan, since the point was raised, we told the ship breaking industry very clearly that we are not against the ship breaking industry per se. In fact, in a memorandum to the Ministry of Environment and Forest, to the ship breaking industry, to the platform, we said very clearly that we are not opposed to the industry, we are only opposed to the practice followed. And it was done by, by actually recording what, the practices followed by the shipbreaking industry in Assam. We have the videos made of, the practices followed there. We interviewed the workers there, and it was not just an environmental standpoint, but it was from a worker standpoint too. So, like I said, One thing is getting a common NGO voice, which we would be very happy to work on that, and we will help the government. Second thing is, to get that voice, and so the government knows that, well, this is what the NGOs want. Right now, if I were to be sitting on the government side, I would be totally confused. I wouldn't really know what the NGOs want. Fair enough. So we need to change that, which Greenpeace, along with the other like-minded NGOs, are working. But from the development perspective, we would also like that we be involved. Please don't look at us as hurdles, as obstacles, but look at us as people who can come up with concrete, suggestions. We can come up with concrete solutions, and we can work together. But if you involve us at the last minute, obviously nothing, because we know that anyways this project is going to go. So then automatically that typical mindset comes in, saying that isko block karna hi hai, which is bad, but that's what happens because the last minute, and then there's a delay. But if you are involved right from beginning, I can assure you that things would be a lot more smoother.
Mr. Srinivas, what we're trying to understand here is a framework, including the financiers, including the government, which can and your role. Now we don't have a framework as yet. Our planning process, as I described, is where the environment issues come much later, and people are always very worried about whether the project will really go that hurdle or not. I mean, and first is they believe it is a hurdle to be crossed. The reason, today's thing is we have a maritime sector which is at a takeoff stage. The economy is growing very rapidly, and there are large opportunities to be made. The coastal lands in many places are available for maybe 3,000 rupees an acre, 50,000 rupees an acre, and all these lands, if they're part of a maritime city or a big SEZ, could become 1 crore or maybe more than that. That's what happened in Mundra. When 10 years back they started the development process, the lands were available for 3,000 rupees an acre, and today they're selling their lands at 1 crore because the whole benefit, the upside was created primarily because they could envisage a port there. The ships started calling there, and they had a SEZ, and where the industries could come up. Now, the similar kind of development process could happen all over. In fact, Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, I'm saying world over, all major cities of the world are basically the maritime conclaves, and that's where the development process has started. So there is a large fortune to be made. That's why all the financiers and everybody is here, and we're trying to understand that part of it, which we'll also discuss now. But at the same time, unlike Japan, Korea, China, which were more like autocratic countries, including Singapore, India is a democracy, and the way the things happen here are very different. While we concede also to some extent that some of these movements are funded or motivated either by local interest groups or international interest groups, but definitely there is a case here. So. But still, we were not able to evolve a practical framework, and that's where I would request each one of us, maybe to start with Mr. Joseph, what is that we have to really do to achieve? See, the global warming is a very big signal. Crude touching $140 is a sign that the resources cannot be consumed the way they were getting consumed so far, and if India, China have to progress. And if you multiply the kind of per capita consumption of crude or oil or coal or any commodity what the Europe and America is having, the whole planet will be, all the resources will be over in maybe a few years' time, and so it's unsustainable. But the growth imperatives are there. We also need to become rich. We also need to become wealthy, healthy, the way the Western countries are. So how do we encompass the growth objectives? And we are on a takeoff stage, and we can really do very well considering our intellectual capacity and the democratic framework. But at the same time, we are not. We need to do things in a more democratic manner. So how do we evolve a framework which involves multiplicity of stakeholders and move forward rather than looking at only from the money side or the species versus development side? I would like Mr. Joseph to probably And if we can develop a framework from here, and while we are here, we can